Hi everyone, it's Natalia. Welcome back to Navigating Teen Life Virtual Edition. Today we are filming from the safety of our homes, and it just so happens we're actually talking about safety. I'm here with my fellow ambassadors.
I'm Madeline.
I'm Maya.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Sydney.
And we have a very special guest today, Public Safety Officer and retired Secret Service Agent, Jeff James.
Hi everybody, thanks for having me.
So, Mr. James, today we want to talk about some basic safety for teens. We want to know how to stay safe, whether we're out and about school, with our friends, or at home just hanging on our phones.
I think you'll find it regardless of what setting you're in, whether you're at school, you're at the mall, you're at a theater, your house of worship, there's going to be common themes that are always going to be the same in staying safe. And if we're just talking about, being safe as you're moving out and about, the biggest thing I can tell you is that you just have to be aware of your surroundings. Situational awareness is the biggest key into staying safe.
What is the situation you see the most when you're investigating cases, and how do you think this could be avoided?
Well, that's kind of a broad question. I think in law enforcement, the thing we see the most is the crime of opportunity. So the best thing you could do is figure out ways to make yourself not an opportunistic victim to a criminal. Lock your car doors. Criminals want the path of least resistance. If they can open your door and reach in and take stuff, they'll do it. But they're never going to do anything to cause the noise and attention the noise would bring to break your window. I tell people a couple things. The buddy system works. It absolutely does, 100%. Whether you go out jogging with your friends or whether you decide, again, to go to the mall or go to the theater, the large majority of victims we see are people who are off on their own. And then the other part is, those times you do decide to go jogging or you're out exercising or something like that. And I like to run and I go by people and their headphones are so loud that I could hear them when I pass them. You're shutting off one of your senses. Anybody could sneak up behind you and hit you in the head with a brick or something crazy if your headphones are that loud. So this being cognizant of not making yourself that easy victim for a crime of opportunity is probably the biggest thing you can do.
I kind of have two questions. One, bringing the car situation back.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've heard stories about people will hide under your cars or they'll put something on your windshield to try and distract you. Do you have any tips or awareness that you could bring for us to know more about why that happens and how to avoid that situation?
Look, I know we're all in a hurry. And what do we want to do? We want to run out of Walmart and get in our car and go to our next stop. But it doesn't hurt to approach your car from a distance. If you're parked in this aisle, walk up this aisle and approach your car from another angle where you can see your entire car, you can see both sides of it, and you can see underneath of it, and know that you're safe. If you get in your car and you start to drive and you pull away a little bit and you notice that there is something stuck under your back windshield or your front windshield wiper, front windshield wiper, just leave it there. You can take it off later. Just keep going. That's not used necessarily for kidnappings. That's used for carjackings. Bad guys got to get your car while it's running. So what they do is they put something on your windshield or your back window. You start to drive away. You notice in about, maybe you even go as far as 100 feet and you stop to take that off. That's when they run up and grab you and just throw you aside and they jump in your car and go. So that tactic is more surrounding of car theft than actual kidnapping, but still you're a victim.
So I have a question about car safety. So I'm 16 and I'm driving now. So what do I do in a situation where I'm pulled over and I have to interact with a police officer? So what's your advice on how to interact with a police officer in a way that's safest for both of us?
The first thing is, in law enforcement, our big thing is what's going to kill you is people's hands, right? What they can have in their hands. So the biggest thing I'm going to want to see if I'm coming up to your car is your hands. And if you could, put your hands on the steering wheel or put them out the window, that's going to be a big help to the officer because it's going to show them right away that, all right, this girl gets it. Okay, she knows, she's being compliant. She's not trying to hide anything. If they can't see your hands, if I've walked up the cars, the first thing I've said was, hey, do me a favor, put your hands on the steering wheel. Because that's where the trouble is going to start is if I can't see your hands. That's going to be the biggest thing. Now, I would tell you to be cooperative and to be polite. But I will also tell you that you do not need to accept abuse from a police officer. If they're going to be, it's going to be incredibly frustrating if they're rude to you, if they're going to yell at you and things like that. I would tell you for the time being, while you're on the side of the road, maybe you have to bite your lip and not say anything. But don't be afraid, once the interaction is done, to make sure that somebody knows that this officer was less than professional with you, because that's a thing in law enforcement that I take a lot of pride in, is the professionalism of anybody that I work with. And if it's less than stellar, it's something we need to get fixed.
So in TV shows, I've seen, like, if you are ever in like a dangerous situation, you could call 911, but pretend you're like calling like the pizza delivery guy, and like use code words to like make sure that you get to safety. Is that something that is like taught to like the 911 operators? Is that something you should use in a dangerous situation?
Yeah, if you call 911 and you're non-responsive, that 911 operator in many cities is trained to just stop and say to you, like, "Miss, do you need help?" And then you can respond, yeah, pepperoni would be great. A good dispatcher is going to save your life because they're going to get you help as quickly as they can. And from the citizen side, when you make a call like that, they're not going to hang up on you and think it's a dead line. They're going to do some probing questions to try to figure out if you need help or not. So yeah, that is something that 911 operators are trained to do.
Do you know of any simple steps that teens can take to stay safe and protect our privacy online?
You want a lot of friends and you want a lot of followers, right? Just be careful of who you allow to be your friend and to be your follower. I can say I'm anybody online and behind a computer, so I can get into a chat room with you. I interviewed a couple of these predators who said they would get in these chat rooms at night and send out hundreds and hundreds of messages, and just hoping like one or two girls would reply to them and they could start to make inroads with them to groom them for maybe a meeting down the road. It counted on that young man or young woman allowing that person they didn't know access to their life. And I always say, all right, Sydney, if I knocked up, if you had never seen me before and I came up to your house and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, you got a nice house here, can I come in?" What would you say?
Probably no, or get my parents.
Yeah, but I'll send you a friend request and you'll confirm it and give me access to everything that's on your profile, where you go to school, where you live, who your friends are, what your interests are. So I tell people, if you wouldn't let a stranger in your home, why would you ever let them access to every bit of information, your birthday, everything else is there on your profile? So your original question was your privacy settings. Make them strong, and make sure that you're not friending people who you don't know. And if someone is giving you the creeps, don't be afraid to block them.
So I know a lot of people don't like to have their parents involved with what they're doing online just because they don't, it's like their separate world and stuff. But what do you recommend is like a good amount of like parent involvement on your social media, or like how they should manage their child's profiles and stuff like that?
Our biggest responsibility as parents is protecting you. And when your parents pick at you about this stuff, about who are you talking to up in your room, or who are you Snapchatting with, or who is this text from? Let me just say this. It's not out of a place of mistrust. It is purely out of a place of fear, because we have seen kids become victims too many times in the past, okay? Because they started talking to the wrong person online, or they gave away too much information. And that fear is so real that the thing we love more than anything else in the world, our children, is going to be victimized. So remember that part. Maybe give your parents a break next time when they start, beating you up a little bit about who you're talking to or who you're texting. It's smart if you keep two things in mind. One, the part about your parents are acting out of fear, not that they want to keep you under their thumb. But the other part is, I think it would help your parents a lot if you just said to them, "Look, I know you want to know all this stuff I'm doing, and I don't want to tell you, but I will promise you this," excuse me, "if there's ever a time I think I'm in trouble or something bad's going to happen, I'll tell you." And I think that would waylay a lot of your parents' fears and let them know that you're being responsible with this technology that you have.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. James. I've definitely learned a lot today.
Yes, thank you so much. And for those of you watching, if you learned something new today, make sure you go and check out some of our other videos on navigating teen life for more advice for teens. Bye, everyone.